that's been kicked in the nuts by fake news. Nobody knows what to believe.
I don't know what I said.
We need one maverick newsman to cut through all the noise and tell us what's really real.
I'm not that guy. Oh, and welcome to Really Real with Richie Redding. I'm Richie Redding, episode 7, I believe that is 7 for our Trump-supporting Talk American set. But Bobby, it's good to see you. I know the folks can't see you, but I do have to point out, of course, that you are dressed like a toddler today. We're doing let me just describe it if you would. It's a blue undershirt with a yellow shirt over that, and the bill of a hat that nicely matches the undershirt.
That's where it's so close because it doesn't, almost like a toddler. Like it's not quite the same shade of blue, like a toddler trying to match. So you really dressed me down today, buddy.
Yeah. I mean,
should have had you dress me up and I wouldn't have had this issue.
Dude, you would look rad if you were on a big wheel right now. If you fucking pulled up with somebody on that big wheel. Dude, why is there not big wheels for adults? That would be sick.
In the 80s,
right.
I believe it was Honda came out with a bunch, like as a safer alternative to the motorcycle. Then it turns out 3 wheels is way less safe, and many people.
Oh, 3-wheelers. If your parents got you a 3-wheeler, they did not love you. Like, straight up. It was like, all right, kid, don't wear a helmet out there, all right? You're insured, if you know what I mean. But no, I don't mean like, I don't mean motorized. What if there is just like, just the same action, just hauling ass with some big ass plastic wheels that you can do burnouts? She would be sick. There's the equivalent of it that I know of is like the big recumbent 3-wheel bikes that you just look absolutely retarded on. Like, yeah. So these things, guys actually race on that bike, which is as sad as possible. So there's 2 in front, which goes faster. There's a 2 in the back, which is even more retarded looking. But either way, you're like, if you get that, if you're rocking that, there's 0 chance you're getting pussy, right? But I mean, what if there was just like a big wheel that you can just do sick burnouts on and shit, just roll up on a bitch and be like, what's up, girl?
That would be pretty awesome. Slip back your mohawk.
Hell yeah. I had the Green Machine when I was a kid, which I heard made a comeback. Have you ever seen the Green Machine?
No, what is I'm familiar with the movie, the soccer team.
Right. So, but like a typical, look it up while I'm talking. A typical big wheel had, like, it was like the big wheels on the back, and then like an actual steering wheel. And the Green Machine, I believe, was sort of like that one that you just had, but it was all made out of plastic. But it was 2 wheels in the front, and then the larger wheel was in the back. But it had sticks to steer with instead, and you could jam on that thing.
Is that
Mine
what
was
we're working with here?
No, mine was different. It was the sticks were out in front of you, for sure. But it was fucking sweet, dude. It was like, it was both, I thought it was retarded when my parents first got it for me. Yeah. Oh, wait, so I misremembered where the wheel was. But those sticks instead, to steer, you can jam on those babies. So you can like get up to full speed and then just spin them out.
In a world that's been...
What are you doing? Okay.
It's not going to get better than that. You promoted the Green Machine, our new sponsor. Let's get out of here and call it a day, huh?
Yeah, thank you to them. I feel like it might be worth getting a Patreon going just to see if we could get Bobby downhill on a Green Machine just to see physics really stacked against a man. I mean, really out to get him.
If you send Richie $1,000, you can see me go down a big hill on a Green Machine.
Yeah. Super chats now activated for Bobby to bust his own ass.
The worst concussion of my life was for a Live Strong band. I jumped off a 5-foot ramp into the street and landed on my face because I really wanted a Live Strong band. So it's not going to take much to get me to go downhill on this green machine.
Weren't they like $5?
This was when they like first came out and you couldn't find them anywhere. So somebody had two and was like, "I'll give you one if you live strong." And
dude, one of my favorite things on the internet is the unwanted branding is like, you know, in the mid-aughts of porn stars wearing that thing. Like, you wouldn't even, it was like you would never even see their face. It would just be like, you know, a disembodied dick, but then like on her ass there would be the yellow bracelet. Like, can't pay for that kind of promo, Lance.
The only one he's okay with is a guy who has one nut. He's like, all right, you can wear it. You fit the meaning.
One big bulldog ball. But yeah, so checking in from the weekend. I am fairly exhausted because I think I got off stage at like 2:15 for my last show, like every night. So, yeah, it's awesome that the cellar is using me, but woo! I'm either hosting or closing all these late shows, which is a mess, but pretty fun and funny. And also confirming that David Tell is still the funniest man alive. It's unfucking believable how literally at 1:30 in the morning when a crowd is toast, he goes up and just turns it into comedy chaos in a way that he's like literally the only person in the world that can control that. And he's also the only headliner that insists on going in the worst spot in the world at 1:30 or 2 in the morning, you know? Like he wants that challenge of a crowd that's just had the living shit kicked out of it already. And like stack as many obstacles as you can of people falling asleep and everything that's wrong with a setup, and he goes up and just rips it apart. It's unbelievable. So shouts to the GOAT. But yeah, I had some funny stuff happen that there was a guy, there was a couple, well, I guess it was 3 people. It was like it was it seemed like a couple and a hot black chick with them, but like the couple gave the most the most swinger vibes I've ever seen in my life. Like she was like a pretty beat up blonde, but like, you know, butterface situation, but had on some kind of bodysuit that was entirely too revealing. And like it was like a laced up corseted thing. And the black chick was 15, 20 years younger than them, and also too hot to be hanging out with them. But this dude, I mean, dude, it was like the most lounge lizard Vegas shit I've ever seen. That like he was somewhere between 55 and 60, like slicked back hair, but with like a handcrafted kind of ducktail thing happening with it, and the most obnoxious. It was a $2,000 blazer, but it was the single most obnoxious thing that I've ever seen. Like it looked like it was covered in beta fish. You know what I mean? Like tetra fish.
Oh my God.
Like it was just fucking loud and iridescent and Technicolor. And then he was wearing boots that
had goldfish in the heel.
No, they're probably no. Probably like gator skin boots, but or like snake skin or something, with a heel like that, but also like the elfy point shit. So it looked like a size 15, but his foot stopped at like 10. So it's just all this extra pointy shit. And they did my least favorite thing when somebody's dressed like turkeys and then like don't want to talk about it, like because I was hosting,
Exactly.
I was doing crowd work and they're like, "What? Us? Like, why are you?" Like, had no sense of humor about looking absurd. Which, by the way, there's a pimp that walks through Jersey City straight out of "I'm going to get you, sucker." I mean, like he's got the fuzzy hat with like lampshade little like spindly things hanging off of it. If you say like, "Hey, what's up, pimp?" Guy looks at you like, "I wish the fuck you would."
Oh,
It's so
shit.
bizarre. Yeah, like he's got the cane and all that. But so this guy, it was like crowd work that at first was going nowhere because they wanted to participate, which like I eventually won, but it's like you can't dress like this and think we're not going to talk to you, right? But that dude is he's definitely like playing big shot and he's like, "Hey, more drinks, hey, hey." He gets up and goes to the bathroom like at like the hour mark of the show, and I saw him like ask somebody where the bathroom is and turn. And when he turned, he cartoon ate shit. Like, it wasn't like a fall, like a normal person falls, like, there's like natural layers to it. Like my man, like it was just like whoa, right? And it made a crazy crash because like his head hit the door, which is like which it's a light door, but it's also a great bongo if you're gonna bounce your head off of something. So like the whole left side of the room turns and looks at that, and it's like, oh shit, it's that guy, because it was so loud, it sounded like a tray dropping, like a tray full of drinks, right?
Yeah.
And like it registers what just happened, and now there's 40 people looking over there, and he goes to stand up, and dude, as he stands up, whoa! He goes out again. And like this time he was so ass over end that like I mean the soles of his elf shoes were fucking pointed up at the ceiling, and he like rolled the door open with his dumb greasy head. And dude, like when you're not supposed to laugh, that is 100% my shit. And like there's no way. I mean, dude, I'm this guy. Like, oh, like fucking dying laughing. And and he actually he was on his way to wipe out again. And one of the security guys like got a good grip on him and like picked him up. And right after, like and he like goes, he's shit faced. He goes down to the bathroom, and I go over to the security guy. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? We had a good thing going here. like we almost had the hat trick, bro. What are you doing? And he's like, oh, guy could have fucking broken his neck. He's like, but did you see the bottom of his shoes? Like, nah, I couldn't see him at all. He's like, this fucking asshole's walking around. I swear to God, his shoes are shined on the bottom. This fucking dickhead has the slipperiest shoes on earth with a heel, and he's just going around wiping out. So there was the funniest shit was that there's these two like total bros, like compound fans. These two guys, yeah. They were dressed like you and have your same beard, and they were wearing shorts when it was 32 degrees.
I do have shorts on right now.
As you would. Today it's actually appropriate. But so like I'm right by those guys when it happened, and like I hit them because, like I said, so if you look dumb, I'm letting everybody know. And one of those guys comes up to me after. He's like, yo, man, I was just down in the bathroom, and this is like 10 or 15 minutes later, and I didn't realize that the guy still wasn't back. and he's this guy. He comes. He's like, dude, I was down in the bathroom, and some guy asked me if the show was still going on. I was like, nah, dude, it's over. Some fucking retard just fell. And and he looks over, and it's that guy. Who's just hanging out trying to get his wits back about him while his weird swinger wife is still trying to finger this black chick. So, yeah. Oh, man. I would love to have known whatever happened at the end of that. Because, like, I don't think the chicks knew. So, like, there's a very, very off chance that this guy, that maybe the wife could have pulled it off to get that chick back home. But if you're falling over, that definitely comes with whiskey dick. But also, his hiney bone had to hurt. There's no way that dude's laying pipe. 60, you just fell twice. I mean, the second time he did a cannonball onto like hard concrete covered fucking carpet.
The best is if he's blacked out, his wife and the girl didn't see it, so he just wakes up the next morning with a broken tailbone and no recollection of how it happened.
Yeah. Well, I did tell everybody that he fell. Also, it was
okay.
The show was
so
not
so
over.
they knew. They knew.
Yeah. Yeah. Right before I brought the final comment on, like, just so you know, that guy just ate shit. But he was still. That sound. It was not one of the waiters. It was our boy. With our guy just covered in beta fish for some fucking reason. But oh, and then also at that show, I saw the wife, sadly the widow of the great late Angelo Lozada. She was at Gotham, and she gave me flowers, which was the most awkward thing ever, but it was because she saw that I was going to be there, and Lisa has been helping her with her cat, with like her and Angelo's cat forever. She's been like, doing vet stuff for her. So she shows up and she gives me these things. She's like, you have to get these back to her, and like, send my love, all that. But she was also like, and you can't take credit for them. I have a long history of stealing valor. I steal valor until somebody claims it. That's my move. So like, for our birthdays are 3 days apart, and we were up in Portland, Maine, and we were staying at a nice hotel, and we get back, and there's this really nice like heart-shaped thing of chocolate-covered strawberries. And we get there, and Elise turns around, and she sees them, and she's like, oh my God, you're so romantic. So we're just making out and like fucking like, yeah, let's get in the hot tub, right? And then like 4 hours later, her mom texts us, and she's like, so did you guys get the chocolate covered strawberries? Like, ah! I thought that the hotel just threw them in because it was such a nice room and all that we were paying for, but nah, I stole the shit out of that valor. But the fun part of it was that I was taking the train at, fucking 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had to walk with these damn flowers. And I mean, boy, does a guy look dumb. It's really a great way to punk a guy, is to give him flowers. I mean, there's nothing weird, because walking out of that show, I looked like I was, like to the other people at the show, like it was like a great accomplishment for me. Like just walking out with this fucking bouquet, like, yeah, I'm really psyched about this.
Like what you give the director after the play.
Yeah, or throw him at the feet of a skater or some shit. Yeah, it looks so very dumb, but and it reminded me of a thing that I loved. I did it for a long time with my buddies that like I'm helping with getting sober, is to give them a balloon on their anniversary and like tie it to their chair, because the only thing dumber than flowers to try to walk with is a balloon. it would always be like, wrestling balloons or some shit. Because and like the first guy that did it too was like a big tough guy, and he was so happy to be sober that he didn't want to like fuck with the juju of it, So he's just like begrudgingly like. And at first, I gave him a ride to the end of the block, and he gets out of the car, and he's just walking with this fucking stupid balloon over his head. And then finally, I just saw him, like, he took like 10 steps and realized there was people around, and he just like he football carried it instead.
Very smart.
But also, the fun part of a balloon is that it lasts if it's a Mylar balloon, those things last way longer than flowers. So you've just got to have this dumb balloon in your house until it just dies from natural causes.
That's
which
incredible.
I love. Yeah. But also, dude, do you have flies where you are? Or like
I get fruit flies real bad, yeah.
Is this just the fruit fly time of year?
I think so. We also have a gas station that just throws their rotten food out like way too early. So whenever they do that and it gets bad there, they eventually find their way into our house.
That story makes me not want to visit, if I'm being honest.
It's Yonkers. Nobody wants to be here.
How far away is that gas station?
A block.
Wait,
not a city block. Not a city block. Like
flies come from a block away.
Yeah, I think the people who own the gas station live about halfway down the block though, so I think they follow them, and then they have similar garbage practices.
Like a pig pen situation.
Yep.
Okay, got it. But all right, put aside. We wanted to try this new barbecue place. I'm a barbecue head, love me some barbecue. Perfect cheat day, right? Big old fucking pile of red meat, too many fries, some soda pop, love it. And we tried this new place, and immediately my gut check as soon as we walked in, because it got like a killer write-up, but I'm also like, I know how media stuff works, but I still always fall for it, that it was on like the Thrillist or like Eatist or whatever the listicle was. And it's like, wait a second, they paid for this thing. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but we walked in and it's right by Path, the Grove Street Path in Jersey City. And it was immediately like, oh, this is way too nice to be good. Right? Because like my theory about a lot of different stuff, and I might have mentioned it on the pod before, is that the best stuff happens in shitholes, right?
Particularly barbecue.
Yeah, well, barbecue, Mexican, comedy even, right? It's like good shit happens in shithole. Blues, that's how, it was in the Delta, that's how that shit happened. Just a shithole with mud floors and plug that shit in. Right? So, it was immediately, there was red flags going up, and they said it was a soft open, but it was all white people that I encountered on my way to the table. Red flag number one. I ordered well, first of all, it took 10 minutes of sitting there before anybody came over at all, like even just to ask us for a drink order. I ordered a soda with lime, and it came back, and it was a 5-ounce glass, and I was like, I mean, look, it should be a bottomless fucking soda at a barbecue place, right?
Yeah, exactly. It should be the Dickies yellow cup with crushed ice, bigger than any human could possibly drink.
Yeah, there's one napkin apiece on the table. There's no, no finger thingies, no wet naps around.
Oh boy.
And so the food came. It was dry, and we had to ask for sauce. And they brought a sauce. They brought sauces. It was literally half a cup of sauce The fries were, I think, $8, and it was literally like one measuring cup of worth of French fries and a little thing of. So it's like everything wrong. Like the portions were wrong. You should be throwing sauce at me. There should be a fucking, there should be newspaper on the table with a big ass thing of paper towels. None of this, right? They got it all wrong, and also, I think lunch cost $100, and that's with Lisa getting one beer, right? So,
Jesus.
yeah, so it's $40, $45 a piece plus a tip, whatever. Or yeah, $40 plus a tip, a piece per person rather. And on the way out, I saw the owners and I realized what was at play here, Robert.
What was
Not
at
only
play there?
was it white barbecue, it was white lesbian barbecue. And
Oh no.
yeah. Look, there's some rules in life, folks. All right, and there's one of my things. It was actually a piece of a album that I did a long time ago. Is that I always want the face to match the food. Right, like if you walk into a Chinese place and it's a 6'2" blonde guy, like, wait, what the fuck's going on here? No. But yeah, dude, barbecue should be left to the hands of, let's face it, we want fat black people making our barbecue. Fat somebody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For sure.
What's your favorite style of barbecue? As this connoisseur, I'm curious.
I think is it Memphis or St. Louis that's wet. I like it. I mean, I just want it to be super slow cooked. I want it falling apart.
Okay.
And I want the sauce.
Yeah, I grew up in Memphis. That's what I'm accustomed to. Carolina's that way. I wasn't sure if you were one of those Texas guys who want it dry but super flavorful and like fall off and melt in your mouth type.
Yeah, no, there's a place for that, but I want the sauce.
Yeah,
right?
I want somebody who it looks like this food is a life choice that they made to die because it is that tasty.
Precisely. That is precisely what I want. The best barbecue I've ever had is, I've been to Memphis, I've been to Carolina, I've had the Texas shit. It was actually in South Jersey on my way back from the SATs. It was in the middle of nowhere in like Vineland or something. And there was a black family. We saw them setting up on the way there, and they had a big ass smoker with the tent and shit. The tables were wire spools, like highway wire spools,
Sir.
and just logs that they sat around that shit, and it was like, I want that food. The bet, dude. It was multi-generational fat black guys in overalls. That's what I want. It doesn't have to be black necessarily, but I want you in overalls, and I want your whole family to be shot through with disease. I want heart disease. I want the sugars. All right. I want some cancer that comes with all this red meat. You got to be about that life. You can't be a skinny ass lesbian. That's what you cannot be. I want this food to have wiped out your whole family and they died sweaty and smiling as a result of it. Right? Like if your grandfather has both his feet, you are not about that life.
No.
I want to see Pop got bit by the old sugar shark in the name of this restaurant that is putting him into an early grave. He's barely making any money on. Oh, I want that shit. And I want a big fucked up soda and way too many napkins. Yeah. God damn it.
There better be wet naps.
Yeah, that I will overpay for. But is bitch ass lesbian. You got me hot and bothered, Bobby.
Well, I'll be honest. If there's one group who made a conscious decision in life to avoid meat, it's lesbians. They shouldn't be barbecuing.
Not known for the meat. Not known.
The opposite of Arby's. They don't have the beef.
Yep. Leave the jokes to me.
I'm trying.
Love you, Bobby. What's next? So as you know, we watched a bunch of. I'm skipping that for right now. As you know, I took the last few days off. Well, I took a few days off after the podcast last week to take care of my babe because we're doing the IVF stuff, and that meant watching TV like normal people, and fuck. Fuck, is it bad, dude? It's so bad. Well, also, I was kind of, I told you I kind of play by the Chris Rock tambourine thing. That's like sometimes let her have it. So she's all emotional because all these goddamn hormones that this stuff has her on. We wind up in like a 3-hour marathon of back-to-back American Idol.
Oh boy.
And bro, she's intermittently sobbing because like that's why that show is still on the air, is that like it's basically the same as the show This Is Us, that like they just cracked the algorithm of how to make old people cry. Right? And all it is now, well, it's either they're hot and they walk in the second that or the second that they walk in, they're passed, right? Like, and the dudes are like dripping over themselves for the like Blake Shelton told some guys like, oh, I'm just glad you sing as pretty as you look. Like, ew. And but what the real heart and soul of the show is now is sob story followed by pretty okay performance that they can barely get through, and they have to take like an emotional break to get them back together. And there's like this soul support of like, you can do it, stay with it, come on, bring it home now. It reminds me that from my own athletic career, that nothing in the world is more powerful than a dead dad. And now Dead Dad has somehow made it into American Idol. That like dude, if they find out your dad is dead, you're going through. I just moved my fucking camera here. You're absolutely going through. And I've been on both sides of the dead dad thing with rowing. That had a buddy. Well, it was my team, not my boat, but it was like this dude's dad had been in bad shape for a while, and we were at the national championships, and he passed away like Friday night, and they had to race Saturday morning.
Oh, geez.
And that boat just took off because of Ghost Dad, right? It's like, because everybody's coming together for that kid. And so they wound up, I think, making the finals. And I think they got like 4th place in the country or something because of that. But then I've been on the flip side of it. It was 3 years later at the same race. It was in Camden. Well, like it's really Cherry Hill, but they say it's in Camden. And like, it's this huge regatta, and I think it was before the finals. No, actually, I'm sorry. I think it was the semifinals, and we had never lost to Temple, who was like, there was one boat that was going to beat us no matter what. Like, they were just way too fast for us to be anywhere near them. And then, so we basically just had to take care of Temple, and we never lost to Temple, like, ever, in probably 10 years. And like an hour before we have to like put hands on the boat to get out, you hear and some dude's grandmother was crossing the street and got smashed by a bus. And like everybody heard it, but then like word quickly got around of what it was. And it was like the best guy on Temple's team's grandmother.
Oh no.
And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh fuck. we're racing against Ghost Grandma. And, oh man, those motherfuckers were inspired, dude. I mean, like, she didn't even have to go up to heaven and come back. Like, her spirit was like still there. They were on a conveyor belt. I remember watching them go by, just like, Ghost Grandma, goddamn. That was a weird little, but and then if anybody is looking for, and I know I'm late on this. I think the show itself is like 5 years old, but we just got Hulu, so we just started on it ourselves. Extreme Love. If you're looking for some real trash TV to watch, I cannot implore you enough to check it out. We skipped over pretty much the second episode. Was like bullshit, except there was one guy that is pretty much just a head, and he has a girlfriend that just like carries his head around. That's pretty fun. But your face, Poppy.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But pull up the picture. There's 3 stories in it. There's a 700-pound chick and her feeder, and she wants to be. Oh yeah, there's that little thing. Yeah. It's either Monica or Rebecca. It sounded like Levy there. Rebecca. Hey,
is that blue
Rebecca
cheese?
Yeah, dude. So that is a funnel with a weight gain shake with peanut butter mixed into it, and she's just funneling this shit. That he helped her gain like 150 pounds, and how inappropriate is that front butt, by the way? That's belly button, dude.
You think he's ever, like...
Absolutely. I bet it feels pretty good, too.
Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah. But, yeah, her episode kind of starts off with her talking about that her dream is that she wants to break the record and become the fattest woman on earth with his help. And he's all about it. I mean, he's beaming at the possibility of it. And her mom comes over, and she has a heart-to-heart with her, and she tells her mom that their goal in life is for her to be 1,000 pounds and completely immobilized by her fat. And it'll just be, and he's just going to take care of her. And she wants her to know this is what she wants in life, and this is what's going to make her truly happy. Dude. And of all the things to come out as, like, and her mom's just like, well, I mean, I wish I wasn't as fat as I am. I wish I could run and get it off, but okay, if this is what you want to do. She's like, this is what I really want, Mom. And this freak is there like, yeah, it's going to be great. And then, but the whole episode gets completely derailed because she's not feeling well. Turns out she's pregnant, and then she wants to live, and she loses 200 pounds by getting pregnant. And yeah, it was like, I lost all interest in this storyline as soon as she tried to get healthy. It was like, wait. She wants to, which life are you about? Right? Like, are you trying to break a record? Or you just want to be another mom in a pile of moms? No, you get out there, you get immobilized, you eat yourself until you can't fucking move, sister. Yeah, it was such a derivation from the storyline. Nothing but disappointment.
You would think pregnant would be like the ideal window to set that record, right? Like, that's when you're going to hit your peak.
Well, if you want to stay pregnant, I don't think you can keep hitting.
You want to stay pregnant or win the record? That's all I'm asking.
Well, I wonder, because, yeah, she lost like 100 pounds like immediately, but I wonder if the baby could grow with all that sitting on it. Can you remove that, please? I've had enough of that. Thank you. But yeah, could a baby grow with a 500-pound stomach sitting on top of it? But also, it was so funny watching it with Lisa because, you know, we're trying to make an embryo right now. She's like, if this fucking bitch, Lisa's like not using anything that has like a scent to it, right? It's like she's like not touching certain metals, that kind of shit. She's going that hardcore. This chick is trying to paralyze herself with junk food, fucks around and gets pregnant, but also that speaks to that guy is not just putting it in her belly button, presumably, unless it's just like no, that can't accidentally trickle from that to that. That's a hell of a trickle.
You're a belly button baby.
That's a long way down, boy. But the much more fun storyline in that, I'm telling you, watch this with your girl. You guys are going to have a real hoot if you watch this together. The other storyline is that there's a guy who is, I think, 31, and his thing is old broads. And, he only out of the mouth kisses. That shit, which like I had only ever seen ever in Top Gun. And at the time, I will also say Top Gun, the original, was young Richie's first boner. I think I was 5 or 6, and I remember watching that love scene. It was like, yeah, I want to do some out of his mouth kissing. Yeah, this old broad is 91 years old, dude. And he's also poly. He's polyamorous. He can't be with just one. He has another one that's like 63. The first thing all of the old broads say when they interview him is like, "The sex is great." It's like, so she meets his mom, and mom asks like, you know, like, so what do you guys do together? She's like, we make movies. Like, but
oh God.
But dude, it made me realize that whores get old. You know? Like, yeah, that's an old lady, but that's an old whore. And she was apparently, yeah, no, don't you get soft and start defending that old lady, right? Yeah, you want to protect her, but her background, like she was a stripper, she was this and that, so she was just an old school whore. She happened to be a flapper in the 20s, but she still got it, dude.
That's so much happier than what I thought it was, though, which was just a girl who got no attention her whole life, and now she's 91, willing to do whatever.
Funny you would say that, because that episode does wrap up that your boy, he moved from Pittsburgh to, where should you go if you're into old broads?
Florida.
He moved into a retirement village, so he has to be in the villages, right? And so, and also, sadly, she died at 93, right? One of the things he was most attracted to was her hands, and they show just these piles of veins. Like, oh, it's so hot.
Oh, God.
But, dude, what a genius this guy is. That look, if you've got this thing, if that's what you're about, unlimited puss, dude. Unlimited. You move to the villages, and you never even have to go to the trouble of breaking up with one of these broads, because they're just dying off on you. Right? You've got a nonstop, just recurring cycle of puss where you meet them, year and a half later, they croak, on to the next one.
Oh, God.
It's so good. But the thing that I was flagging there was that one of the things that it ends with is that he was recently contacted by an 80-year-old former nun, that is looking to lose her virginity. Goat. Dude. If he might be the straightest man in the world. If you can get hard for 80-year-old puss, you are a straight up red-blooded animal, dude. But to take 80-year-old virginity, bro. And also, I mean, she's turning her back on God.
Yeah, Catholic guilt ruins most of my sexual encounters right now, let alone an 80-year-old nun.
Yeah. Well, those priests are guilty, so, you know. Yep. I don't know. I feel like we've hit a discussion dead end, but it's really something to to gnaw on there. Dude, I am so far over time on all this shit that why do I always have, I prepare a 3-hour podcast and we do 1 hour and 5 minutes of it. Yeah, we'll skip over a bunch of shit. But, oh, you want to watch something fun?
Sure.
Can you hit, scroll down for hot air balloon bowling? This was from Vids That Go Hard. This is mesmerizing. I can't tell you how many times I watched this. Just a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Dear God! No! Dude, pause it for a sec. My favorite, all-time favorite bit, probably the thing that crushes the hardest in the right crowd, is about how black people just have the best danger instincts on earth. What you're seeing here is the exact opposite of that. Dude, do you know how fascinated you have to be to sit there and stare at a 60-foot high balloon that's just slowly coming at you to fucking wreak destruction in your path? Look at the lady. The lady that's facing us is the best. But there's so much to break down of what happens.
She's not even looking at the balloon. She's refusing to look at it.
Well, right. And at this point, that's my favorite part of this, is like, at this point, everything on this side of the camera is going, no! And she's just like, she's just Weekend at Bernie's in it, fucking hanging out in the chair. All right, let her rip. Okay, we make contact with the ground now. But man, somehow he pitches forward and like touches the ground. But there's still people running at it.
Yeah. There's somebody who's like, oh, I can get in front of that real quick.
Yeah. Let her go. And boom. Wait, pause it. Just take it back to when it swings through here. Right here. Now, yeah, forward sub. Right here is where you really see some motherfuckers laid out from that 7-10 split. It's so good. And bam, that's the guy going for the case right there. You have to watch this. Yeah, you got to slow-mo after it passes the camera, because it's presumably nothing but that in front of it as well. Dude, that's 15 people. Dude, whatever the... And also, like, don't... So like, it keeps going, and it looks like the guy takes off again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's a hit and run by balloon.
Yeah. So, like, couldn't he have just given it more flame, like, before he got there? Or was he just, like, trying to steal a beer from somebody or something? What?
Where do you think the driver knows everything's going wrong? Do you think he thinks everything's okay at this point?
Well, I mean, the whole thing definitely makes me want. Oh, at that point, no. No, I think 60 vertical feet ago, he knew it was splashdown time. Like, how much? It's something like, what is it, like 150 hours that you have to log of flying before you can fly solo?
Yeah, it's something like that.
How many times do you have to be in the basket before they're like, fuck it, what could go wrong?
Oh my God. I think
What are the odds
if
that you're
you
going
could
to wipe
afford a
out an
basket-
entire carnival in the middle of the country? Whoa! Yo, that's the guy from Gotham. Bam! Actually, this dude, take it back to right before it passes the camera. That in the red. Oh wait, that's a chair.
It's a chair that gets just demolished.
It looked like there's somebody in that. Maybe it was just a Dude, hot air balloon bowling is my new favorite shit. All right, take that off. I can't. I watched that a whole bunch, but and I've mentioned them before. I need to give credit to my boys. It's my favorite account now is Taliban Public Relations Department. If you could throw it up for me.
Which one do you want to start with?
The first one on the list there, the Hillary Clinton one.
Perfect.
The Taliban is trolling everybody. I mean, nobody's safe. I kind of doubt it's a real account, but it's still fucking amazing. Hillary Clinton, girls in Afghanistan should be going back to school tomorrow, but the Taliban is only allowing boys to be educated. Hashtag let Afghan girls learn. 905,000 views. Doing pretty good. Taliban Public Relations Department. You spent $700 million in our country trying to teach women and girls that there are 140 different genders. No wonder you lost to the orange gangster. You left a huge mess behind in Afghanistan, just like your husband did with that dress. I mean, come on.
God damn.
It's so good. This literally every day when I poop, this is my first thing that I do on the toilet is see who the Taliban is trolling. And then they put out the next one of, oh, you got that up. As you know, we were big fans of Biden due to his overwhelming generosity. Following your positive response to our billboard idea, we have come up with even more positive messages for the Biden-Harris campaign. Will this hurt the chances of the orange gangster too much? Make Taliban great again. I mean, but also, what I love about that is it's Kamala's weird laugh, which you know we're fans of, that they have so brilliantly captured.
It's my ringtone.
Yeah. And then this one is good on multiple levels. You got it up? Yeah. So they're replying to Kim Jong-un puts entire city under lockdown after soldiers lost 653 bullets and refuses to lift it until every single one is found, which I want to talk about. But the Taliban public relations. The fat gangster is terrified of 653 missing bullets. We have Humvees, RPGs, and limitless ammunition to play around with our magnificent nation. You're good to go as long as you're not shooting at people. Come visit us and enrich your life with real freedom and masculinity. They're constantly talking about their like come here and be a real man, which is so good. But yeah, so that thing, scroll down, I put up the link to it, that this went low-key viral in the sense that a ton of smaller websites, no real news sites, which is always a little bit suspicious, picked it up about Kim Jong-un puts the entire city under lockdown after soldiers lost 653 bullets. So supposedly they searched house to house in the city of Hyasan, which has a population of 200,000 people for the ammunition. The city will remain in lockdown until 653 bullets are found. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, a resident anonymously told. Yeah, well, that makes sense. So the story that they're going with is that the assault rifle ammunition was discovered missing on March 7th when soldiers with the Korean People's Army's 7th Corps were pulling back from the area surrounding the city, which lies on the border with China. So the thing that... So, okay. And then halfway down, North Korean authorities have searched house to house in the city of Hyasen for ammunition. Sources told Radio Free Asia. And you're not going to see it. It's under that picture. But so radio, it's the one with Kim Jong-un. But that's how to spot a psyop, right? So the fact that it's all on background, and this will be my one serious point for this thing. The fact that it's on background is it would make sense if it's North Korea, right? Nobody's doing that, but that nobody else picked up what would be a fairly easily verified source from some kind of other assets, anywhere in that country, and that it came from Radio Free Asia. So, Radio Free Asia, I mean, it's obviously the Asian extension of Radio Free Europe, which was basically remember I've talked about how we're all somebody's rubes before, right? So, we talk about propaganda. Everybody, I mean, no matter what side you're on, we talk about propaganda like it happens in a vacuum, and that it's not going on from all sides, right? Of like anybody that has a point, there's a counterpoint, and anybody has an enemy, they're trying to create disinformation.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I mean, there's like the idea that Russia is the only ones that have disinformation happening during the Ukraine war is patently absurd. But Radio Free Europe was run out of, I believe, East Berlin. This is another classic. I'm going to talk about something I know about, but I'm not going to do any research on it. So I'm going to get this one kind of right, folks. But Radio Free Europe was run out of Western. No, I'm sorry. It would have been West Berlin, but it was in Western Europe, and the signal was pointed at Eastern Europe. So it was pointed directly at East Berlin. And I actually used to date a girl that grew up in East Berlin, and everybody was spying on everybody, and it was like a gulagable offense if you were found listening to Radio Free Europe. But that was it was like, by definition, the propaganda arm of the American Department of Defense. Right, and that was, if not run by, then extremely closely influenced by Tucker Carlson's dad. And like he was in that shit, right? And there's also, it'll be fun to dig into one of these days, that there's a very good chance, and we've talked about limited hangout before, right, that like a lot of the scoops and shit that Tucker gets come from inside of the DOD or inside of something for a reason. But there's also a thing that he'll never publicly address, was why he was in Nicaragua in the late 80s. He said, it was like, oh yeah, it was like a spring break trip. Like, oh, word? During the Sandinistas and FARC having a cocaine-fueled civil war going on. Sounds legit. But it's just so this story in particular feels like a perfect psyop about it's completely unverifiable. And it's also so absurd, right? Of like the the extreme state of fucking paranoia of the little man.
100%.
Yeah, and it's majorly discrediting to Kim Jong Un, right? And just so it's always fun for these like how to spot a psyop things, and it reminded me that there's a psyop that has been going on against the American people that is still happening today in like every fucking courthouse in America. I just drove by it yesterday, is what reminded me of it. Every courthouse, every state house, everywhere that the government is, no matter how big or how small, this psyop is happening, is waving in our faces, and nobody even realizes it, which is the POW MIA flag. Have you ever thought about this thing? What that thing means?
Yeah, it's don't forget about the prisoners of war and the people missing in action, right? And it's like a constant fundraiser reminder.
Yeah. Who are they?
Like, you want me to name them all?
Yeah. It's so like here's how the very brief history of it was that they started it like right after Nixon started it right after Vietnam, just because he was phenomenally incredibly unpopular. So they started this POW MIA thing basically with the idea that there's unnamed soldiers that were that were shot down and left behind, that we don't even know what happened to them in Vietnam, and they're being tortured to this day, right? And they gave them like, it was something like $100 million budget, like back then, that there was like 15 or 20 guys that were left behind in Vietnam, and their job was to find these guys in the jungle. But there's no actual proof of any of them existing or having lived, right? Much less being tortured. I mean, look, there were absolutely POWs during Vietnam. The John McCain thing, it's a fucking crazy story. I mean, should he been flying that plane? Probably not. But, but like, the idea that an enemy is going to hold on to these guys after, like, that there's still some kind of purpose, that they still, like, it's like the Orientalism of like of an othering type of shit is like kind of at the center of it, of like, oh, this devious enemy just wants to keep torturing these fucking Americans for all this time after the war. All right, so it started during that, but it also was part of the culture war propaganda shit during the Vietnam War, that there was, we've all heard of like the stories of Vietnam soldiers coming back and getting spit on by hippies, right? That didn't happen. Like it's a very common story, but there's not actually like there's nobody on the record saying that it happened. It was it started, fuck, if I was actually prepared. But yeah, it started as like, it was a Republican talking point that they just started saying like, yeah, and these soldiers are coming back and getting spit on. But it was there was never anybody that was like, you know, a Republican that was running, that was a former GI, and it was like, yeah, I came back and I got spit on. So it was just this made up thing as part of that us versus them shit. It kind of went away until like 87 or 88, and during the Iran-Contras, or like right in the wake of the Iran-Contras, and Reagan was super unpopular because of, like, you know, there was the military shit and it was the Cold War, so there was no real action, and they brought back the POW MIA thing. And I remember it happening. It was just like, I was 10 or whatever, but like just all of a sudden it was everywhere, and there was like a huge one in our school, and I was like, yeah, this is for the guys that were left behind in Vietnam. And and it's like, I mean, it's jarring, right? And especially as a kid, you're like, oh my God, there's these people that are still being tortured and blah blah blah. Well, they'll never see their families. So these Vietnamese dudes have had a captive for 16 years, 17 years. They're still feeding this motherfucker and taking time out of their day to torture this dude. Like, it's so ridiculous, dude. And it's like, you know, it's one of those things that it just gets sewn into the fabric of our daily lives in much in the same way as like the terror alert level, you know, and like,
Yeah, absolutely.
like young listeners and viewers have probably never seen a football game that didn't get buzzed by the Blue Angels. And that started right after 9/11. Right? Like maybe the Super Bowl or something, like, or the Rose Bowl would be like, it would be a performance and they would do some cool shit and some flippy shit. But the getting buzzed by the Air Force started because the first games after 9/11, people were still terrified to meet in public and thought that there was going to be a jetliner was going to come and fucking bang into Giant Stadium. So they started flying those things over to let everybody know that they were safe. And then it never fucking went away, right? So it's like, it's this weird thing where the reminder that you're safe is actually the reminder that we're not safe, right? That's the real meaning of that shit, is like, you're not safe, you need us, now you're safe. And I wanted to get into some other shit. I owe you a story of the dog walker. Remind me of that next episode. We should probably cut that out because this is not good podcasting. I was about to wrap this thing up. I was about to say something along the lines of, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Christian Tingle, I know that's not your name, but it's way funnier than your real name. So thank you for all you guys that comment. And if you're watching right now, baby, you really are a really real, with Richie Redding, really real fan. And I can't thank you enough, Bobby. Thank you so much for helping me with this, man. And like and comment and do the things that's supposed to help, you know, people see this shit. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. I hope you guys are having fun, and I would love to get your feedback. So, peace!
In a world that's been kicked in the nuts by fake news, nobody knows what to believe.
I don't know what I said.
We need one maverick newsman to cut through all the noise and tell us what's really real.
I'm not that guy.